welcome back to the Kacee Allen Show. I'm your host, Kacee Allen. Glad to be back with you guys tonight. Usually we're talking about current events and mainly criticizing the Trump administration for their pro-Israel policies, but we're actually going to do something different tonight. During this episode, we're going to discuss and air an unreleased interview back from May when I ran into a very interesting figure who claims to have involvement in a very peculiar and old story, but something that's very significant, especially if you're into crime and history. Now, this individual that I met was from Detroit and friends with the father of White Boy Rick, also known as Richard Wershe Jr. Now, many of you probably haven't even heard of this story, and those of you that have probably saw it on Netflix. Before we air the interview of White Boy Rick's father's friend, I want to explain the background of the story so you guys are familiar. This is arguably one of the most twisted tales from the underbelly of American crime, a story that's equally parts of tragedy, hustle, and Hollywood drama. I'm talking about White Boy Rick, the kid who went from playing with G.I. Joes to sling kilos, all before he could legally even buy a beer. And yes, that's correct, Rick Wershe Jr. is the original white boy in a black man's game. The teenage kingpin of Detroit's crack wars who got swallowed whole by the FBI and spat out as a lifelong prisoner. So picture this, it's the gritty streets of the 1980s in Detroit where the Motor City is choking on deindustrialization, poverty, and the exploding crack epidemic. Motown's faded glory has given way to turf wars between rival gangs like the Curry Boys and the Young Boys Inc., turning neighborhoods into battlegrounds. And as you guys know today, Detroit is not much better than what it was in the 1980s. It's arguably worse. So then you have Rick Wershe Sr., the father of White Boy Rick, a scrappy hustler and gun dealer raising his son, Little Ricky, later dubbed White Boy Rick. Now, his dad's no saint. He's fencing stolen firearms and rubbing shoulders with the underworld, but he's got dreams of going legit with a junkyard business. Little Ricky, he seems to be a sharp kid, white as Wonder Bread in a sea of black and Latino players, but he's got the street smarts that make him a natural. And just at the age of 14 years old, he already dipped his toes in running errands for the heavyweights, learning the ropes of the dope game from the shadows. But here's where it gets real for White Boy Rick. Whose attention to this draw? The FBI. They spot the anomaly of the pale-faced prodigy who can infiltrate crews without raising alarms. Something they definitely knew would be useful. They knew they could flip him. So just at the age of 14, this kid was flipping dope for big gangs, and he was used as an informant for the FBI, which is pretty crazy they can manipulate minors like that. But it gets crazier. Rick becomes the golden ticket, their undercover informant feeding intel on the biggest players in Detroit's drug empire. He's wired up, risking his neck to bust kingpins, all while the feds promise protecting a clean slate. Rick delivers big time. He helps take down the Curry organization, one of the city's most notorious crews, leading to hundreds of arrests and millions of seized cocaine. For a hot minute, he's living the dream as a young kid. Flashy cars, gold chains, and a rep as the white boy who doesn't snitch. Except he kinda did, but only for the man. Fast forward to 1987, Rick's now 17, he's gone full rogue, armed with the inside knowledge from his Fed days. He starts his own empire moving massive weight. We're talking hundreds of keys of cocaine through connections in Miami and Bahamas. He's untouchable, or at least he thinks he is. The money's rolling in, the power's intoxicating, but the walls quickly close in. A rival snitch outs him, and boom, Rick's arrested in a raid with enough coke to supply a small army. The feds, they ghost him. No protection, no deals. The city of Detroit, eager to make an example, slaps a life sentence without parole for possession with intent to distribute. Keep in mind, he was a minor and his only prior was that informant gig, but justice in the crack era was blind to nuance. White Boy Rick rots in prison for decades, becoming a symbol of the war on drugs hypocrisy. How the system chews up kids like him while the real puppet masters walk free. And you have organizations like the ATF that can fly planes down to South America and crash a plane and get busted with thousands of pounds of drugs, and not a single person gets arrested. That's just how it works. And that's the core of it, folks. A boy caught between worlds, betrayed by the very badges who recruited him. All while the streets and suits played him like a pawn. It's a story of lost innocence and the American dream gone nightmare. Now, why am I spinning this yarn tonight from 45 years ago that might seem like an irrelevant story and a bit off topic? As I said, I spoke with an old friend of Rick's father, someone who actually knew the Wershe family back in those wild Detroit days. I felt it was worth taking the time to document this incident because as time goes on, the perspective of this story is going to be more and more scarce. Although at its peak, it did gain substantial notoriety. Now, the individual that we interviewed goes by Tony and advised us not to publish his last name. He didn't straight up say it, but from the interview, it does seem like he implicates himself in some sort of dealings with White Boy Rick, his father, and maybe the circle of the Detroit mob. Watch the interview for yourself to decide. Here it is.
What exactly do you know about White Boy Rick? It's obviously a very big Netflix documentary. What's your affiliation or how do you know him exactly?
Well, actually, I knew his father very well. And I knew that White Boy Rick got into dealing drugs at about 14 years old. But I knew that his father was involved in drugs also. So kind of like his son was turned out. So, and his son became very popular, became very, 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 very successful in the drug business. Had a lot of people in his pocket. I'm pretty sure that he might have had the mayor, but I know that he had a lot of the Detroit Police Department involved in his pocket. White Boy Rick was very successful and he was very flashy. White Boy Rick had a big, huge black population. Well, that's how he became White Boy Rick.
Yeah.
Okay, the black community. The cocaine that he dealt was well and good. I'm not going to connect myself with any of it.
Just the story itself is really fascinating because this happened about 30 years ago, well before my generation's time. But we see this Netflix documentary of this like 14-year-old, like straight up gangster
Wearing fur coats,
Yeah, I mean, just
walking
yeah.
down the street,
The mustache.
surrounded by black people.
Yeah.
Okay, they all loved him. Everybody called him his name became White Boy Rick because he's a white boy, and he was very popular amongst the black people because he had a lot in the best.
He had a lot of charisma too, I guess.
He had a lot of stamina, and he just had a lot of showboat.
Do you think he should be released from prison today? Or
Well, he's out now.
Oh, he is.
He had like 40-something years for it.
When did he get out of prison?
He's been out about, I'm gonna say he's been out,
I didn't know that.
I'm gonna say 5, maybe 6 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. Oh, he's a free man then.
Yeah, but okay, so 14 and 40.
Yeah.
So how old is that?
He
14?
spent a good part of
A lot of it's
the 26 years of his life. Yeah.
So what you would probably say that he's institutionalized.
Yeah.
Okay, so his normal way of beliefs, life, that is penitentiary. Okay, but if he makes it on the streets, he's gotta have some money somewhere. And I'm gonna say that a very wealthy kid like that, I don't think he's allowed to get any sort of royalties off of the books or anything I've written about him. But I can guarantee you this: there's something back in him. You don't become institutionalized after 40 friggin' years and live normal on the street.
Right.
Do you think he could ever be used as like a government agent or some sort of patsy again, or do you think he's going to live
I
like
think they already went through that. I think it was used with what he knew and who he knew and what was going on. I think a lot of shit was covered up. Okay. And I think that's why he did as much time as he did. For the first offense on any record, he's never had a record other than
Yeah, that's all.
the kingpin. Yeah, he was definitely the kingpin.
Yeah, I mean, it's very obvious because like it looks like there was a ton of organized crime going on in Detroit back then.
Money talks, power even talks more.
Yeah.
He was so dug in that I think he was offered a deal. That's what I understand. And his deal went backwards.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's like you do not do what he did, and there's people that are doing similar things today. They're flying their shit over. They're getting busted. They do not do as much time as White Boy did. I mean, he was a kid. First offense, everything like that. And I think the reason he got so much friggin' time is because of who he knew, who was involved, and who he's connected with.
Do you think they wanted to extract information from him during that time, like pressure him into
Well, they
saying
were already doing that the whole time that they had him under their thumb. Because he, I knew a lot of crap back in the day, okay, and a lot of stuff was going on. I was very well I'm not gonna say connected,
Yeah.
but I knew, and a lot of people knew what was going on when he got the FBI and got involved and used him as just like a little pawn out there.
Because I believe it was like there was a stash house and he put like 60 bags of like 60 pounds of cocaine under a house. And then I remember there was like helicopters raiding over and they end up like going under the house and finding it. Or was it something like that?
No.
Maybe I got
60 grand?
I don't know if I'm saying like 60 pounds. It was a very big amount that they end up finding under like a house, I believe.
Oh, a small portion. Okay.
Yeah, maybe it was a small, yeah. I know, because like from what I saw, like it was a very big operation. And that's why it was such a big story. That
I have no idea where this kid got his friggin' brains at. What it was is I just think that he got so big.
Yeah.
And he had so many, I don't want to call him thugs, but he had so much street.
Yeah, charisma.
That he just showboated with his long fur coats and everything like that.
And he was respected by the black
community. He was so
community.
admired. He was respected by everybody in Detroit.
It's pretty bizarre to think because
A kid like that, doing what he's doing, at where he went with this whole friggin' illegal cocaine business so quickly, and I don't know if it was because he was young, and everything just boom, 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 stepped into him, or he stepped into it. It was huge. It was huge. So today, most people in the world, they haven't heard about White Boy Rick. A lot of people don't know about him. But when people that do, when I say White Boy Rick, they go, "You knew White Boy Rick?" I knew his daddy better than I knew him, but I just knew what was up when I met his daddy, because his daddy threw him out there for it.
What do you think of his dad? Do you think he was a good guy?
Yeah, he was a very good guy. Yeah, they were both good guys.
Yeah.
Both good people. Very good people. I mean, they had hearts. They cared for people. They didn't. I don't know. Neither him or his dad have a murder under their belt or anything like that. It was just they dealt in drugs. They had drugs. But, it's back in the day. Right now in Detroit, I grew up there. It's like 12-year-olds walking around on the street with a 44, and those are the ones you have to fear. You have to fear the older drug dealers as much as you do the young ones. There's a reputation in Detroit. If you ain't killed no one, you haven't upped.
Well, do you think the FBI would try something similar to that again? Do you think they would try to use a
I
patsy?
wouldn't say too much against the FBI, or they'll be all over my ass. But,
Yeah. Well, I guess, yeah, in all reality, but do you think...
Well, you're looking at the FBI. The FBI is mostly involved in the taxes, the money, this.
Well, nobody trusts them, obviously.
Well, it's not trusting them. There's good agents in the FBI. There's good Detroit police officers.
Yeah.
There's good judges. There's good this and good, but money can buy a lot of people.
And especially in smaller towns, that's what I noticed. If you're in a smaller town or a local community, the influence of money can go a long ways and really lead to a lot of corrupt things.
I'm not saying I can't be bought.
It's funny to even think anyone that even knows anything about White Boy Rick, but for somebody to say that they know and have met him and his father, that's a very scarce story. And like I said, this happened 30 years ago, and my generation, first of all, doesn't know much about this besides the documentary.
Was it 30 years ago?
Story, I guess. It's been a long time, but like I said, this will go down as a very historic interview because it's a very few people that know about this. And as time goes on, I do believe this will be a very popular story because of its peculiarity. Yeah. I mean, it's a very different type of story. You're talking about a guy that was 14 years old, worked with the FBI, was in a very big cocaine industry, selling narcotics throughout the city, and ended up taking the fall for this.
He was a natural, and the only reason it became the reason that he got busted his heart is because of who was involved, and there was a lot of people involved that.
Because it probably traced back to the mayor and the local police department and all. I mean, I would say local
if I
officials.
said that yes, it did, I couldn't tell you that I would be lying. But you know what? Yeah, I will say this: he did some bum time. I mean, he shouldn't have got all the time that he got for what he did.
Oh yeah, no, I agree with that.
I mean, I don't care what the quantity was. I don't care what his status as kingpin was. I don't care what this was. As a kid, he got busted. He was big, okay, but he was. Very, very, very much so. I'm going to say, I can't say used because taken advantage of. Okay, definitely.
Good answer.
And also, definitely, he came upon. Let's call it a patsy. Let's say patsy.
Patsy, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. From a patsy, because of the people he knew of the people involved. It's like High Life. Remember that thing back in the day? She was the queen of prostitution.
Yeah.
Okay. So prostitution's all over the freaking world. You got people walking on the streets doing it. Okay.
No.
But they use her as an example. An example is the word I'm looking for. Not even an example for one. And that's why a lot of people have a lot. I think very manipulated. I think White Boy was, because he was told, work with us, and we'll help.
What do you think his end goal was? Did he just want the clout? Did he want the money? Did he want the status? What was his end goal in working with all that?
He wanted that glory. I think he wanted that status. He wanted that reputation. He wanted that.
The street rep, I guess.
That's what drugs do, man. That's what when you're into it that way, and the bigger you get, the bigger your ego. It's not an addiction, but the lifestyle becomes an addiction.
And I say the pinnacle of that lifestyle would just be bigger and better. It's not like you're not going to get anywhere else but more powerful.
Oh, yeah, like the average life of a drug dealer, a big time, is probably 30-something years old.
Oh yeah, I believe that. Maybe even less. Yeah.
Okay, and but he wasn't like this. He wasn't like the guy out there slinging it on the corner. He wasn't holding down the corner anywhere. But he was supplying every corner in Detroit. He was supplying everybody who supplied the corner, and he was supplying everybody who supplied the guy who supplied the corner. And he probably didn't know who 99% of these people were. So yeah, he's big. He was
Wow.
big. He was
Yeah.
big, but young, but big, and I guess I respected him. And I think that his dad had a lot of involvement in it. I really do.